Coming up on the Cowboys Report, Sean Lee is back. He is staying with a pay cut, restructure, whatever you want to call it. It's all the same. The Cowboys save some cap space and get to keep a key part in terms of their locker room on defense. Also, who could be back? Maybe Tavon Austin. Reports are the Cowboys plan to re-sign him. We'll break down what a deal could look like. And then someone who's not going to be back. We've told you this for weeks now. David Irving, after his latest Instagram incident, has made it very clear he's not coming back to Dallas. Those rumors and more coming up on the Cowboys Report. Hello, friends. Welcome into the Cowboys Report presented by BetDSI, the internet's #1 sportsbook. I'm your host, Tom Downey. Let's dive into those Cowboys rumors. And yes, indeed, Sean Lee is back, as I'm sure many of you have already heard. The Cowboys and Lee, they worked out a pay cut or a restructure. It's all the same thing in the end. Sean Lee's base salary goes from $7 million to $3.5 million, so he cut that base salary in half. He can earn the rest back via incentives as well. Now remember, there is a little over $3 million that Sean Lee was going to count no matter what against the cap, so in reality, his cap hit goes from $10 million down to 6.5. It could have been cut down to a little over 3 point, or under 3.5, excuse me. But in the end, the Cowboys do save money. Now their linebacker depth, that looks pretty good. Jalen Smith, Leighton Vander Esch, Sean Lee, Joe Thomas, Justin March, Lillard, and Chris Covington. That's a pretty good depth chart at linebacker. Frankly, I'd say it's one of the deeper ones in the NFL. So Sean Lee comes back. He gets a pay cut. Grade it for the Cowboys. A, B, C, D, or F. Now, I would have, and obviously, preferred something a little bit cheaper. But you guys know how I feel about Sean Lee. I think he's a huge part of the leadership of this team. I think he was instrumental in the development of Jalen Smith, of Leighton Vander Esch. I give it a B. Yeah, it's maybe a little bit more than I'd like, but overall, I'm happy with Sean Lee being back on the Cowboys at a reduced cost. Now, Sean Lee was not the only players the Cowboys brought back over the weekend. They picked up the options on Joe Thomas and Joe Looney. Well, no shit, they were going to do those. Those were obvious pickups. Daniel Ross, Justin Martellero, Darian Thompson, depth guys who could help on special teams for the last two names there. They're brought back as well. So the Cowboys, they're doing something, right? Yeah, it's not the guys from outside the organization. But remember, free agency doesn't really start for a couple of days. Now, today's show is brought to you by BetDSI, the internet's #1 sportsbook. Head over to chatsports.com/bet and use that promo code Cowboys120 for a 120% deposit bonus. So you put down $50 and BetDSI is going to give you an extra $60 for free. It's the perfect time to get on the action because we got March Madness coming up. And who doesn't love betting on NCAA basketball games? Chatsports.com/bet, promo code Cowboys120. Stick with some more possible/potential re-signings. Allen Hurns, is he back as well? I'm going to give this one 3 stars. Now, they did pick up the option, which is a 4-star thing, but it doesn't guarantee that Hurns is back. But it felt disingenuous to give this anything less than 3 stars. So, again, Cowboys did pick up the option, but his base salary doesn't actually guarantee right now. So if they cut Allen Hurns, let's say in August, let's say in early September before the season actually starts, or after the NFL draft, for example, they do save that $5 million by cutting him. So that's a key note to make here. And what I think the Cowboys are doing overall right now with the way they're setting up their pre-free agency and pre-draft moves, they don't want to have glaring needs. And bringing back Allen Hurns does provide that extra depth at receiver. I think $5 million to be saved is a worthwhile cut for Hurns, but he does bring you added depth, assuming he's able to get healthy again. I don't think we're going to see 2015 Allen Hurns again, but if you can get closer to 2017, maybe a little bit below 2015, that does make a little bit more sense. So what should Dallas do with Allen Hurns? Give me a K for keep, a C for a cut. I still think the best path is this. If you find a good receiver in round 2, round 3, and I think you can, then you cut Allen Hurns. You still save the $5 million. It's not going to necessarily impact your free agency moves right now. Sure, I'd like to have the extra $5 million right now that you would save by cutting Hurns, but the Cowboys do maintain flexibility in terms of depth and the need at receiver by not cutting him right now. We'll stick with receiver here for our next rumor. Is Tavon Austin going to be re-signed soon? I'll give this one 3 stars as well. It does seem that that's the way things are trending at the moment. Bobby Belt first pointed out, Mike Fisher confirmed his report. The Cowboys do plan to re-sign Tavon Austin, reportedly for a short-term, affordable deal. 2 things I very much like to see alongside Tavon Austin. And much like the Allen Hurns picking up the option, this gives the Cowboys options at the position and in the return game. Now, we know Tavon Austin didn't really have the impact we were hoping for. We saw flashes of it, but remember, guys, you have to lower your expectations for Tavon Austin. If you expect him to be the player that went number 8 overall in the NFL draft, and top 10 overall in the NFL draft, he's just not going to be that guy. But if you need someone who can bring you speed, which the Cowboys currently lacked, that could help out in the slot, or as your number 4 receiver, or in the return game, now that's worthwhile. So the Cowboys' depth chart receiver right now looks like this. Tavon, not technically signed. I think Cole Beasley's a goner. But if you go into the draft with Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, Allen Hurns, Noah Brown, Tavon Austin, Cedric Wilson, Devin Smith, that's not that bad. In fact, that sets you up to a spot where you do not have to take a receiver on day 2. If someone's there that you love, then you do so. Maybe even try to trade Allen Hurns on draft night, which I think would be a little bit tricky to end up doing. But it gives you options at receiver. And as long as Tavon's cheap, I like this move a lot because he does bring that speed the Cowboys really don't have at wide receiver. All right, look, before we get to more, rumors here, Michael Caldwell, we did not get to your super chat during our last live show. Our apologies, but we'll get to it right now. Now, he asked, if Dallas claims ET is too expensive, what was their plan if they traded him for a second last year? Was it a 1-year rental? Well, here was basically the Earl Thomas plan. Remember, you're right, they did try to trade for Earl Thomas. The plan would have been to sign him long-term. That was the goal. It was not going to be a 1-year rental, but had they traded for Earl Thomas with that second-round pick, I don't think they trade for Amari Cooper. That frees up more money. Now remember, if the Cowboys desperately want Earl Thomas, they can make it work. Now, Stephen Jones is a little bit tighter with his wallet than Jerry is. Those two, I think, need to come together and find a nice little balance right now. But if the Cowboys traded for Earl Thomas, I think they would have worked out a long-term deal as well. Now, with free agency almost here, what would you pay Earl Thomas per year? Get your number down, have it written out for yourself, and then we'll wait and see what happens on Wednesday or Thursday or Friday or whatever. And we'll see what Earl Thomas actually goes for. For me, it's about $11 million. You can maybe talk me into 12. Anything above that, that's too much for me for a 30-year-old safety who has a history of leg injuries. That's a big red flag. And in the end, the Cowboys might not sign Earl Thomas. Yes, there's interest, but if the price is too high, they're just not going to go for it. Get to some more rumors. This one's kind of actually more on the news side of things. David Irving, is he done with the Dallas Cowboys? We told you this for a while, and then David Irving confirmed it again in an Instagram live video that I don't know if it quite went the way he was hoping it was going to. Says he's quitting football because the NFL doesn't let him smoke weed. Now, Irving makes some really good points. There are actually many things he's correct about. But this kind of veers into the you can't fire me, I quit territory. David Irving was going to be suspended by the NFL. The Cowboys weren't going to bring him back. And yeah, I hope he's able to figure out something for his life. And we should have done this a long time ago. David Irving's off the Cowboys defensive line depth chart. He's not coming back. Even if the Cowboys wanted to give him a cheap 1-year vet minimum deal, I'm not interested. He's got other priorities in life, which is fine. It's fine to have other priorities. But Irving hasn't done a great job in terms of actually being able to be on the field. Hopefully he's able to get his life in order and find some success outside of football because, as I said weeks ago, it's more likely that David Irving is out of the NFL altogether than back with the Cowboys in 2019. All right, guys, as I always do, I am wearing a Mizzen and Main shirt. Go check them out, comfortable.af. You will not find a better shirt, heck, any shirt, dress shirt included, than a Mizzen and Main one. They're incredibly comfortable, and I do tend to sleep in them normally after a late night out. Some more rumors here. Let's focus in on Amari Cooper, in particular how the Antonio Brown trade with the Oakland Raiders has impacted him. Did the Cowboys overpay for Amari Cooper? Stop it, Clarence Hill. Just stop it. That doesn't make any sense. Fake news on this one. And I know, in a bubble, in a black and white world, Antonio Brown is probably worth as much, if not more, than Amari Cooper. And Antonio Brown went for only a third and a fifth. Why didn't the Cowboys do that? the reality is, guys, Antonio Brown was a toxic asset for like 85% of the NFL. He wanted to get a big fat new contract. Do you guys want to pay Antonio Brown $16 million per year right now? I don't really think we want to right now. And he would have gone to Buffalo. I think he tanked that trade. Would he want to come to Dallas? Who knows? And look, I had concerns about the Amari Cooper trade at the beginning, but it's worked out wonderfully for the Dallas Cowboys. He's your number one wide receiver. You're going to work out a long-term deal with him in the very near future. If you're the Cowboys, doesn't really make sense to go after Antonio Brown. And yeah, I thought it could be a top 15 pick. I felt real bad after the Titans game when the Cowboys fell apart on Monday night, but they did not overpay. They got a fantastic player, and if you guys could do it all over again, I think you would agree. You'd take Amari Cooper straight up for the 27th pick right now. You'd prefer to have Amari. Now, one more note here on the rumors side of things for the Amari Cooper, Antonio Brown connection, I guess we'll call it that way. Did the price go up for Amari Cooper? I'll give this one 3 stars. I think it did. Now, maybe Amari takes less, or maybe they use some different types of negotiation that doesn't bring it up all that much. But remember, Antonio Brown got a brand new 3-year, $50 million deal with the Oakland Raiders in addition to the trade. And in reality, it's really more like $19.8 million when you factor in the money Brown was making from Pittsburgh regardless. Now, in the end, Amari was always going to get paid. I didn't really think you were going to be able to get him for $14 million. I think it's more along the lines of $16+ million for Amari Cooper. Number one wideouts get paid, and so will Cooper. Beckham still leads the way at $65 million. Antonio Brown, it's a little weird because I'm kind of combining the limited Steelers guaranteed money and the Raiders money, which wasn't actually all that much. And it was only 3 years, so bump it up. It's probably more along the lines of the Odell Beckham deal. And then we'll use, of course, the money per year. In reality, if you're only counting the Steelers extension, restructure, I don't even know what to call it. It's such a weird situation. It's really only like 16 point some change there for Antonio Brown, but it still remains in this way. Number one receivers get paid in a big, big way. And you guys can get paid too if you bet on sports. Go to BetDSI, chatsports.com/bet. Use promo code Cowboys120. Start betting on basketball. You'll win a lot of money. It's easier than you guys think. Again, chatsports.com/bet and use that promo code Cowboys120. Hey Cowboys fans, thanks for watching the Cowboys Report. If you haven't already, click right here to subscribe to our channel for all the best Cowboys coverage on the internet. That's news, rumors, highlights, mailbags, film studies, and a whole lot more. And I'm making your lives a little bit easier as well with the next Cowboys Report video right here.